Do you think we ever got to the bottom of 9/11? Do you think?
No.
You don't?
I think that the Israelis, while not involved in 9/11, absolutely positively had advance warning of 9/11. They had sources inside of Al-Qaeda, and they purposely did not tell us the details. We catch the diary, and I call headquarters and I said, listen, we got his diary. And I said, well, for one, they're the cell phone numbers of 3 Saudi princes. Like, what's up with that?
John Kiriakou, the CIA whistleblower responsible for exposing the CIA's torture program, just went on Theo Von to talk about the truth regarding the Israelis, the Saudis, and the 9/11 attacks. Was there any linkage? Was there ever any foreknowledge? Kiriakou thinks yes, and it's related to stories that aren't exactly talked a lot about in the mainstream press. Let's break this down to find the connections and what's been withheld from the American public for so long. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hype it if you can.
But take me back. So it's like you guys hear that something's going to happen.
Something terrible is going to happen.
But what do you do at that point?
Well, see, that's the key. What do you do? We didn't know what to do. So we're going to the, Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, the this one, the that one. And they're like, we don't know what's going on. Well, as it turned out, that wasn't true. Almost all the hijackers, what was it, 16 or 17 of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia,
right?
And we know that the Saudi ambassador to the United States at the time, Prince Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, his wife transferred $50,000 from her personal bank account to the hijackers. What are we supposed to make of that?
Yeah, sometimes you got to get your girl to Venmo if you got it. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, the only time I ever saw George Tenet, who was the CIA director at the time, the only time I ever saw George completely lose his shit was in a meeting with Prince Bandar. He said, if we don't start getting help from the Saudi government on this case, we're going to start killing people, a lot of people, and some of them are going to be named Al Saud. I go out to Pakistan as the chief of counterterrorism operations there in January of 2002. So it's still fresh. We're bombing Tora Bora. All these Al-Qaeda people are trying to get out of Afghanistan, cross into Pakistan. And my job was then to catch them when they came into Pakistan.
We're bombing what? We're bombing which country?
Afghanistan.
We're bombing Afghanistan, right? But why were we looking for Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan?
That's where they were living, all of them. They launched 9/11 from Afghanistan.
Got it.
At least theoretically, the ideas came when they were in Afghanistan.
Because from the American population, it always felt like we never went after Saudi Arabia. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and we should have.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? And what Kiriakou just drops here as a bombshell came through declassified documents from the 9/11 Commission report that weren't divulged to the public until, I believe, over a decade after that report came out, finally in I believe, the mid-2010s, that talk about this money transfer from Princess Haifa of Saudi Arabia to a national within Saudi Arabia named Osama Bosnan. He then sent some of those checks, presumably for nursing services, to the wife of Omar al-Bayoumi. He was a Saudi intelligence contact who had made friendships with 2 of the 9/11 hijackers, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Midhar. Suspiciously, he helped them get a jump start in San Diego, in the San Diego cell, getting them IDs, setting them up with an apartment, etc. But we're supposed to just believe this is all coincidence. It's money transfer that literally went from the wife of Princess Haifa to the 9/11 hijackers, albeit indirectly. We're supposed to believe that this is a giant coincidence. And then I might ask that if this was just a big coincidence and there's nothing to see here, why declassify these pages talking about that within the 9/11 Commission report? I would say that there was something here, and the United States wanted to cover this up to make sure that the eyes of indignation of the American public weren't focused on Saudi Arabia, the key ally of the United States, an ally in quotes, because it isn't exactly forthcoming for this theocracy, which is treated so different than the one in Iran, to have complete cover for their nefarious deeds in financing this operation, which is pretty clear at this point.
But didn't you know that?
We did not. We suspected, but we didn't there was no smoking gun. So that's what I'm getting to. We catch Abu Zubaydah, Zain al-Abidin Mohammed Hussein, Abu Zubaydah, who we believed at the time
Oh,
was the
shit, I
number
thought you were having a stroke for a second.
No,
there.
that's his name.
No, I'm just joking. That was a joke.
The profession, I know. The profession of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
I've been around people that are stroking out, and if you don't tap in with them, they'll just keep going.
Oh, jeez.
You know, and
Yeah.
they never buy a vowel, and then they just fucking tap out. You
Oh,
know,
that's terrible.
so you guys were doing this guy.
So we're looking for him,
Oh, bro,
and we catch him.
this dude is a fucking mumble rapper. I think. Go on.
We were on him for 6 weeks. We chased him. Some days we'd bust down the door and there's like a warm meal and a half-lit cigarette still on the table. We're like, dang it, with 15 minutes we could have gotten him. Some days we were a day or two behind. So he knew we were after him. He knew we were chasing him all over the friggin' country. And we catch him in late March 2002 in Faisalabad, Pakistan. So we also confiscated his diary. This led to a huge fight between the FBI and the CIA. Huge. And the CIA was right and the FBI was wrong. But the fight was, well, we captured his diary. So I'm
But
sitting
dude,
there.
that sounds so suspect that he has a diary.
It was more than a diary, though.
But even though, you know what I'm saying, like as a regular
Oh,
person.
no, it didn't have terrorism stuff in it.
Right, but even then, first of all, who the fuck has a?
See, but look,
He does have an eye patch.
Sketcher, yeah.
Oh, he drew a lot as
Yeah,
well.
It's all drawings. All of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of it's drawings. And most of them are classified top secret. The CIA wouldn't allow them to be released.
Got it.
Because they were mostly about the torture that was done to him.
Understood.
So anyway, we catch the diary and I call headquarters and I said, listen, we got his diary and there's some fascinating shit in here. Like what? And I said, well, for one, they're the cell phone numbers of 3 Saudi princes. Like, what's up with
Imagine
that?
that.
So they were like, put it in writing. So I write this cable back and I was like, we found these 3 princes. Here are their cell phone numbers. George calls in the Saudi ambassador. The president calls the king. What kind of country are you running over there? So we said, we want those 3 princes. We want them like right now. Next thing you know, one goes into the hospital for bariatric surgery because they're all fat.
Mm-hmm.
And he dies on the operating table.
Mm.
The other one is driving from Riyadh to Jeddah on the Riyadh to Jeddah highway. He's in a 1-car accident and is killed in the accident. The third one goes camping in the desert, which is a very popular pastime, and dies of thirst.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we couldn't interrogate any of them.
Who do you think was? Do you think that Saudi Arabia did that?
100%.
Right.
Yeah, imagine that. Dead men tell no tales. These 3 Saudi princes all died in mysterious circumstances immediately after U.S. officials wanted to interrogate them as to why their cell phone numbers are in the diary of Abu Zubaydah, a top al-Qaeda operative. Again, this doesn't receive any mainstream coverage. It actually takes people from the inside that were heroic whistleblowers like John Kiriakou to reveal this to the public. And yet, the public has been silenced and given this false narrative about why it's been so imperative to lay the American foothold in the Middle East in the war on terror. Throughout my entire lifetime, you could even claim that the Iranian war going on right now is an extension of that absurd empire building scheme, not on behalf of the United States, but largely on behalf of Israel, with countries like Somalia being bombed for over 2 decades, a starvation blockade in Yemen going on for over a decade, regime change operations in Syria and Libya and Iraq and Afghanistan, the latter of which replaced the Taliban with the Taliban after 20 years, hundreds of thousands of deaths, and trillions of dollars down the drain. We have this stupid empire building spree that's happening even while the American public is told falsities. And the complicity of the Saudi government and its intelligence associations have been hidden from the public to protect that relationship, which is the most rigid relationship that the U.S. has in the Middle East outside of Israel. That's just the facts.
Do you think we ever got to the bottom of 9/11? Do you think?
No.
You don't.
No. And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. I think that the Israelis, while not involved in 9/11, absolutely positively had advance warning of 9/11. They had sources inside of al-Qaeda, and they purposely did not tell us the details because they knew what was going to happen. They knew that we would attack Afghanistan, and we would attack Iraq, and we would kill 2 million Muslims. And I mean, these dancing Israelis, they've never answered for this. I'm still mad about the dancing Israelis.
I've heard about the dancing Israelis. Bring it up. So you're saying that you believe that they knew.
I think they knew in advance and didn't warn us.
But they didn't warn us because we would
do their dirty work for them.
We would take out issues with their surrounding guys.
You know, there are videos making the rounds now of Benjamin Netanyahu over the years, over the last 20 plus years, testifying before Congress and saying, you know, if we just took out Saddam Hussein, we would be peace in the Middle East. If we just took out Muammar Gaddafi, there would be, I guarantee you, he says, would be peace in the Middle East.
And we do it all.
We take out Iran and we're going to have peace in the Middle East.
It's starting to get a little bit more
I think so. A little sus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old hat. It's so preposterous. Every new theater of war they try to apply those ideas to, it becomes more and more ridiculous to a lot of laymen even that have watched this unfold over their entire lifetimes. Will be always greeted as liberators. It'll be quick. It'll be easy. It will establish peace in the Middle East, but it never does. Why? Because the United States largely acts on behalf of Israel. But yeah, the dancing Israeli story is something that is often ignored, and yet there's a lot of documented evidence pertaining to that. What happened was a group of Israelis who weren't exactly dancing, they were said to have been high-fiving and smiling and cheering by a witness, and I think lighting up one of their lighters and showing the burning towers in the distance, kind of celebrating the attacks. Well, they were part of a moving company, and within that attachment of the moving company, several of those supposed dancing Israelis weren't exactly dancing again, were Mossad operatives. So this is what leads a lot of people to conclude that there was foreknowledge, not only by the Saudis, but also by the Israelis. And this is something, again, that has been widely concealed by the corporate media apparatus, the intelligence apparatus, to take eyes off of the very special relationship the United States has with Israel, who many of us distance consider to be an albatross around the neck of the United States. We wouldn't want to put that in a bad light whatsoever, especially 25 years ago when this happened. These people were apprehended. It was documented. The FBI has released documents on this, and yet they were let go free with allegations of foreknowledge not thoroughly investigated by the FBI by design, because the Bush administration and the neocons with the reins of power in government had already decided to launch the attacks against not only the Taliban, who eventually said they would turn over bin Laden, but Al-Qaeda itself, and then the abstract war on terror, which of course they deliberately said could apply to any country harboring terrorists. So that's the narrative Americans got, and I'm glad this is being put out there by a podcast like Theo Von. It takes podcasts like this to actually make the public aware for the first time.
So the Iraqis have electrical towers like we have everywhere, but ours have 4 legs and the Iraqis have 3 legs. So just a few days before we attacked Iraq, at that time I'm the executive assistant to the deputy director for operations at the CIA. So it's the most serious job I ever had in my life.
So you have access to a lot.
Literally everything.
Wow.
And the Israelis come to us and they said, listen, you guys are going to attack Iraq in a couple days. We want in. We said, absolutely not. We put this coalition together with all these Arab countries. As soon as you guys jump in, all the Arabs are going to drop out. Just let us do it. Next thing you know, every one of these electrical towers just begins to topple over, like 150 miles worth in the Western Desert, because somebody put explosives on just one of the 3 legs. And I remember my boss saying, these damn Israelis, they just can't leave well enough alone.
Many such cases, and they smack us in the face all the time. They bomb other U.S. allies in Qatar, and the administration looks the other way. He does this theatrical thing where he forces Netanyahu to call, Qatari officials to apologize, but there's never any policy ramifications for this. Instead of there actually being U.S. leverage against the Israelis, the United States just gives them more money, bankrolls more of their military conquest, and launches more America Last Wars as it's doing now in Iran. This is what world you're living in which the vassal state is not Israel. The vassal state in which more political control is exercised is against the United States by Israel.
They just don't ever do as they're told.
Let me look at this. The dancing Israelis. And we're talking about the Israeli government. We're not talking about Israeli people.
I'm far less worried about the dancing Israelis than I am about the Israelis who were arrested on 9/11.
Okay. But just so I can say the claim, because I don't know, I've never even spoken about this. The dancing Israelis is a 9/11 related conspiracy trope based on the arrest of 5 Israeli men in New Jersey on September 11, 2001. And this is according to Perplexity. And it was some guys, I think they were on a building top and they were kind of dancing like around
high-fiving each other.
Yeah, a bread truck or something as you can see the towers in the distance. A New Jersey woman reported 5 men near a van overlooking Manhattan who appeared to be celebrating and taking photos as the Twin Towers burned. Police later stopped a suspicious van and detained 5 Israeli citizens. They had items like box cutters and multiple passports, which conspiracy theorists later fixated on, but box cutters are normal tools for a moving delivery job.
They were happy because they knew exactly what was going to happen, that we would have to enter the war, we would attack Afghanistan, we would probably then, take a permanent position in the region, which is exactly what happened.
Right.
That's why they were dancing. They were happy. 9/11 is a good thing for Israel.
Yeah.
It got us militarily engaged over the long term.
But you don't think that they were involved in the setting up of it?
I don't.
Yeah.
No. There's never been any evidence to suggest that they were involved in any way.
I have no idea.
No.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I don't think there's a smoking gun that they were involved, but there certainly was the indication of foreknowledge, and the tale that the public's been told about the Israelis that were, arrested and interrogated this was a thorough interrogation, but it doesn't really seem to be the case. And people like Mark Rossini from within the FBI and people like Michael Scheuer from within the CIA, in addition to John Kiriakou, have laid out truthful scenarios and documentation that has later been disclosed by the organizations involved. I'm saying the CIA and the FBI, that point to Omar al-Bayoumi, the Saudi intelligence official, funneling money to 2 of the hijackers, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Midhar, in San Diego. But why? Why would that be the case? Well, what happened was there was law prohibiting the CIA from directly funding espionage within the United States, but there wasn't in regard to allowing the Saudis to do that. So the idea is that the CIA wanted inner workings of Al-Qaeda to be made clear to them. They wanted inside guys, and they wanted these 2 hijackers that were in San Diego. But instead of doing it directly, they chose Omar al-Bayoumi, the Saudi intelligence official, to do this. And again, this is where some of the money came through from Prince Bandar's wife, Princess Haifa, that was bankrolling these people. And even the FBI, in a recently disclosed document, I think something like 2021 this came out, it showed that there was at least a 50% probability, even according to the FBI, that Omar al-Bayoumi had immediate foreknowledge of the 9/11 attacks. And you have to imagine he would have told his Saudi handlers that, but certainly not the United States. And if all of that wasn't enough, those 2 9/11 hijackers I just talked about, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Midhar, they flew the plane into the Pentagon. They also stayed in an FBI informant's home at one point during their stay in the United States. His name was Abdul Sakir Sheikh, and he didn't give them up or give their plans up at all to his handler either. So there is extensive foreknowledge potential between both the Saudis and the Israelis, and the public's just not allowed to know this. Now, Tucker Carlson did an incredible series just several months ago on the 9/11 attacks, and some of this was made clear, including primary actors within these organizations, the CIA and the FBI, when they were happening, namely Mark Rossini, I think John Kiriakou, and Michael Scheuer, who was the head of the Bin Laden unit within the CIA. But that's what we have to go off. We'll never get full transparency. And again, all of this is to say that if the United States want to say that all these Saudi connections or all these Israeli connections are just coincidence, in the first half, they would not have classified 28 pages of the 9/11 commission report, the final report, which the entire thing was based on a sham in the first place. And it was critically underfunded. They wouldn't give subpoena power to the members. It was all a politically orchestrated scam to lead Americans in the direction of supporting the war on terror. Why would you declassify that? If this was all coincidental, that there's nothing to see here, it wouldn't make sense to classify that. But we know the truth. There were more things to that day than have been made clear by the government. And even the government in disclosed documentation makes clear that the original story was not the story. So again, I'm really glad to see Kiriakou on Theo Von's show. It'd be the last show for me to, really think that would necessarily deliver this sort of information, but we live in a whole new world where the independent media is controlled by people with good instincts, like good-minded, well-to-do people like Theo Von, who is not cut out of the same mold of, let's just say, Barry Weiss and Hannity. That's for sure. So that's what we're dealing with. I'm very glad to see this interview in general. They get into all sorts of other interesting things here, including some of the spy raids that Kiriakou was involved in, his political career, how he was recruited, and the Israeli influence in the current government, and what they do to people that expose it, like Thomas Massey. But I thought this was a piece worth covering for the program. But what do you think? Was there foreknowledge? Why is the United States able to cover up for the complicity of the Saudis, especially its other partner in the Middle East, in these attacks? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video breakdown, please consider joining Liberty Vault. You can do that by clicking the join button below. That gives you immediate access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on YouTube, and I really appreciate your support as a member. And also, if you want a free copy of my first book, Compact of the Republic, click the link in the description. That'll send you to a website, plug in your email, and I'll send you a free copy of that book. And look, I have a few demands from the sinister Israel First empire building regime, and I won't apologize for them. No more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.